my top 10 power rankings. We'll start at 10. We'll go on down as we start the NFL offseason. Casey, you want me to run this or?
You tell me.
I got it. Coming in at number 10, team that no one really saw this season they were going to have, but it's the Houston Texans. A lot of people will put them higher than 10th in the league, and I understand why, right? It's similar to what's going on with the Reds. Like, you expect young players to get better every year till they hit their prime. That's going to be a much tougher division. It was tough this year. The AFC is very, very tough. I think people are going to have more of a book on the Texans. Obviously, they didn't play well against the Ravens, who were probably the best team in the NFL in the regular season this year. I think 10 feels like a great spot. I'm worried about the defensive head coach, DeMarco Ryan. I know he did great in his first year, but it has now been 5 consecutive Super Bowls that the teams that have made the Super Bowl have had offensive head coaches. So the last defensive head coach to make the Super Bowl was Bill Belichick. So that's my number 10. And you guys can chime in at any point if you guys disagree. This is a team that I think is going to when I think of NFL teams, 9 feels perfect for the Dallas Cowboys. Every year we fool ourselves into thinking, is this the year the Cowboys finally get over the hump? Is this the year they finally make the NFC Championship? Are they contenders? And I told myself this year, I'm not doing that anymore. I want to see them get to the NFC Championship game before I ever think of them as contenders. They're still going to be a playoff team. I think the NFC East as a whole is going to take a step back. I think the Eagles, we saw what they were in the second half of the year. Wasn't good. The Commanders are going to probably get Drake May, so they can't get much worse. The Giants, that's a meandering franchise. The Cowboys, they're going to win 10 games. They're going to make the postseason. They're probably going to lose their first game. That's just how it was. Coming in at number 8, this is a team that I was not high on to the very end of the year. I love their starting quarterback. Love them. The Green Bay Packers.
Ooh.
Now, the comparison that I made was between C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love. If you look at their season, their body of work, it's very similar. C.J. Stroud didn't turn the ball over as much. But you could argue that there was not a quarterback that played better in the second half of the year than Jordan Love. And if you watch him play, he's got it. I don't know what voodoo magic the Green Bay Packers have to where they just keep drafting great quarterbacks, let them sit for a couple of years, and they still do fine. But Jordan Love's a guy. This Green Bay Packers team was the youngest team to make the postseason since the early 70s Buffalo Bills. And they should have beat the 49ers to get to the NFC Championship. I think the Vikings aren't going to be very good next year. I think there's another team in their division that's going to be on this list. But the Bears will likely have a rookie quarterback. Green Bay Packers, they're going to win double-digit games. They're going to get the postseason. They're going to be a threat in the NFC.
I disagree.
You disagree? You don't like the Packers?
I don't like the Packers. But here's the thing. I respect Jordan Love. I'm still maybe not sold all the way in on Jordan Love. I think he had a great end of the year there. But again, in that division certainly will be at least winnable. I think the Vikings are going to be pretty bad. I guess it depends on if they get Kirk Cousins. And the Lions certainly are good. But outside of that, I still think the NFC isn't great. And who's the fourth team in that division that I'm missing out on here?
Lions, Bears,
Bears.
Packers.
Sorry, it was the Bears.
Yeah.
I don't think the Bears are going to be very good. Yeah, so I think the Packers are going to be able to win 8 games. I just don't think they're very good. I think again, I could be wrong.
So you weren't encouraged at all by their second half of the year?
I was encouraged by it, but I still am not a believer in Jordan Love.
Okay.
I'm still not a believer.
I'll stick my flag in Jordan Love. If you ask me right now, if I'd rather have Jordan Love or C.J. Stroud, I think I'd rather have Jordan Love.
That's fair.
I think I'd rather have Jordan Love. Coming in at number 7, team that's looking for a bounce back. They'll have their quarterback next year. You guys might hate me for this, but number 7, it's the Cincinnati Bengals. Who day? Listen, there's a lot of question marks. This is a team that made 2 consecutive AFC championships. They still got a quarterback in his prime in Joe Burrow. They still got one of the best receiving threats in Jamar Chase. They've got a young defense that I think we saw some decent things from the secondary towards the second half of the year. They're going to be losing probably Awuzie. They're probably going to lose DJ Reader. So there are question marks. But at the end of the day, when I think about teams, I think about 2 things. And you can call me an idiot for doing this. It seems to work more than it doesn't. Do you got a good quarterback? Do you have a good coach? And I think the Bengals have a great quarterback, and I think they have a good coach. I think they play in a very tough division. The AFC is very tough. But I think it wouldn't surprise anybody if the Cincinnati Bengals were back in the AFC Championship next year.
Am I allowed to say, as a Bengals fan,
you don't think they should be in the top 10?
I don't think they should be in the top 10.
Fair.
I don't think there was enough last year to say, I am pumped about this season, especially with the thought of losing T. Higgins, and you have a defense, and I say this with love and respect, that was, outside of Trey Hendrickson, pretty bad. So I would say they should not be, and again, might be mean, it might come off bad, but I don't think they should be close to the top 10. I really don't.
Listen, they went 9-8 with a backup quarterback in the toughest division, the best division that the league's ever seen, and played a top 5 schedule, toughest schedule, and they went 9-8. And now they're going to have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Hey, if you want to stop seeing that guy from Kansas City hoisting up the trophy, it's that handsome blonde dude.
That's a fair point.
Not this guy, but that handsome blonde dude that plays for the Cincinnati Bengals. That's got to stop him.
The Bengals are literally the only team that gives Patrick Mahomes a run for his money. That's the only team. Saying that, based on last year what happened, I'm not the highest I've ever been. I'm going to temper my expectations.
That's fair.
We talk about expectations. I thought the Bengals were going to a Super Bowl. I put a lot of money on the Bengals going to a Super Bowl. Nowhere close. At no point during that season. There was that 4-week stretch, 3-week stretch.
Where they looked at the best team in the league.
Where they were the best team in the league. And then outside of that, it fell apart. So, no. Here's the good news. We're going to have a backup quarterback next year. That's the good news. I think. Unless he gets signed.
The thing about the Cincinnati Bengals is it's going to be fun to be a fan again. I hate when expectations get so high. It's fun riding that train up that mountain, but when it's Super Bowl or bust, it's not a whole lot of fun being a fan. I like going into every week needing to win a game, not thinking you're going to win a game. That's the difference. This might surprise some of you guys for too high, too low. I'm very high on this team, but I feel like 6 is where they belong. It's the Detroit Lions with the NFC Championship game. Casey said that they are very similar. They got a very similar build to the San Francisco 49ers. I disagree with Casey about a lot of things. I fully agree with him on that take about the Detroit Lions. They've got a great pass rush. They've got a lot of weapons for a limited quarterback. They've got, a bad secondary, but they protect their quarterback. They run the ball very well. That's a winning recipe. And in a bad NFC, even though I had exactly 5 NFC teams, 5 AFC teams, I believe, they can absolutely get back to the NFC Championship game. I said when they went to the NFC Championship game, this team isn't a flash in the pan. This Detroit Lions team is built for success in this league. I think Jared Goff is a better quarterback than most give him credit for. Now, similar to my take, I think you got to have a better quarterback to win the big game. But this team's going to win a lot of games in a bad division.
I think it's a little bit similar, and I think it's maybe very much similar to the 49ers, where I think, again, this is no knock on Jared Goff, but I do think that the roster around him is so much better than him. I think that's a winning recipe for the regular season. I think they're going to get probably the 2 seed in the postseason next year. Saying that, do I think they're going to win a Super Bowl? No, never. I'll never believe the Detroit Lions or any Detroit team can win any championship ever. But I think that's actually a fair spot. I think the Lions are going to get the 2 seed. I think they're going to win 11 to 12 games next year.
Well, the Detroit Pistons win a championship like just a random team every 20 years.
The Detroit Pistons, man. We don't talk about them.
2004, they won it. I think like in 89, they won it. But it's just like every 20 years, they just like have a random team that's good. Never a dynasty, just really good for us.
Can we just do a quick little check? Let's see how many wins the Pistons have. They got to the All-Star game.
Are they over double digits?
Nope, they're not at double digits.
6?
8.
Close. We're getting there.
8-46. The Wizards are 9-45, and that was talking NBA.
All right, coming in at number 5. I think this is the biggest surprise on my list. Now, I told you guys what I think is overly valuable in the NFL, and that is quarterback, coach. 2 most valuable things you can have on your team. I think this team has a Hall of Fame quarterback, and I think they have a future Hall of Fame coach. Coming in at number 5, it's Elliott's team, the Los Angeles Rams. I think they're very similar. Like if you're high on the Packers, you got to be high on the Rams. If you're high on the Rams, you got to be high on the Packers based off of what they looked like towards the end of the year. I know every game is created equal, but what did you do for me lately? How did you finish the season? When the games mean the most, what did you look like? And the Rams were a wagon at the end of the year. They draft so well. They took Puka Nacua to 1,400 yards. They got Cooper Kupp still over there. They got Matt Stafford, who's getting old, but can still sling it. He's a tough son of a gun. Now they play in a tough division. A division with another team that's yet to be listed on this. But Sean McVay is a phenomenal coach. Matt Stafford is a Hall of Fame quarterback. And this team is talented enough to get back to an NFC Championship.
If Kyron Williams can do what he did last year, they are going to make a run for the NFC Championship game. I firmly believe that. Their offense is elite. Now, their defense is not great anymore. It's certainly worse than it was when they beat the Bengals in 21. They still have Aaron Donald. He's not going anywhere yet. So I do think there's going to be
a step back, but he's still Aaron Donald.
He's still Aaron Donald. I agree with you. I think people wrote off the Rams last year. They said, "Oh, there's no chance." I think they're damn good. I think people write off Matthew Stafford. I think he's the toughest quarterback in the NFL. Maybe the toughest quarterback the NFL's seen in the past, 30 years. I'm trying to think of a tougher guy. And it's hard. You'll be hard pressed to find one. I think you got this spot on. I think the Rams absolutely are going to have a great year next year. I think you should get pretty excited if you're the very few Rams fans that there are in Los Angeles. Get very excited.
All right. So coming in number 4, go with one hot take. We'll go to another. 4th, I got the team that you guys think I'm all secretly a fan of. I got the Kansas City Chiefs, back-to-back Super Bowl champs. Why are they so low? Why won't they be 1 or 2 or 3? They've got Andy Reid. They got the best coach in the league. They got the best quarterback in the league. And you just said 30 times that you like a good coach and a good quarterback. Yeah. But there was that regular season, right? That happened. And at times, you lost a little faith in what the Kansas City Chiefs are. Did they win it all back by beating the Bills and the Ravens and the 49ers in the postseason? Sure. But come next year, they've really got to figure out what they're doing with those weapons. They've got to find targets for Patrick Mahomes. Travis Kelce's he's not getting younger. Rice, he looked okay. Do you think Rice is a number 1? Sure, he's their number 1. That's not saying much. Yes, they've got a great defense, but they're going to lose their best defensive player in Chris Jones more than likely. There's a chance that they lose their top cornerback in Snead. So there's a very real possibility that this Kansas City Chiefs team takes a major step back. Do I still have them winning the West? Yes. Do I still have them winning a playoff game? Yes. But would you be surprised if they don't make the AFC Championship game next year? You shouldn't be. Heard it here first.
You're saying I should not be surprised if they don't make the AFC Championship game? I'd be very surprised if they don't make the AFC Championship.
Fair enough.
How am I going to – how are we going to doubt them after what they just did?
What they've done 2 years in a row.
By the way, if they were to win 3 in a row, that would break the sport. That would be it for the rest of us.
Has there ever been a three-peat? I don't think there's ever been a three-peat. Never been a three-peat in the sport. And it's going to happen to a team that people have belittled for now 2 years. Because 2 years ago, it was this is the year to beat the Chiefs. This year was this Chiefs team isn't very good. And now I'm sitting here saying they're not even.
I think there's going to be a lot of people like you, the Chiefs slappies out there. You and Nick Wright. You and Nick Wright are going to say everybody who's doubting the Chiefs. Travis Kelce's getting old. The offense. What was the stat, Casey, that you had before the show? So it was basically Patrick Mahomes' average yards per touchdown has gone down significantly in every single season he's played up until this point over the past 4 years. I do think there's a case where Patrick Mahomes is evolving his game a little bit, if you want to call it that, to being a more I don't want to use the word safer quarterback, but he's not gunslinging as much.
He doesn't need to score 35 points in a game anymore.
I think the Chiefs will be playing for another AFC Championship game and most likely another Super Bowl.
I've made my take about Patrick Mahomes, and I think that when it's all said and done, the dust settles. I think he's already made himself the second greatest quarterback ever, but he's done something that I've seen no other quarterback do, and it's been the duality. He's been the Aaron Rodgers, the Brett Favre. He's been the gunslinger. He's done that, 50-plus touchdowns, made incredible throws that nobody else on the planet can do. And this past year, he toned it in. He reeled it in. And he looked more like a Tom Brady, where he's just, dinking, dunking, just scoring enough to win the game, relying on his defense. I've seen it both with him. Been incredibly efficient. First quarterback I've ever seen do that. All right, number 3. Final team from the NFC, San Francisco 49ers. 49ers are absolutely built for success for another year. After that, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens after that. But the 49ers are great on the line. They have great weapons, great on the defensive line, great in the linebackers. Secondary's a little suspect, but it's still pretty good. There's an opportunity for the 49ers, and no one wants to talk about this because for some reason when you bring up a plucky quarterback from Iowa State and you say anything disparaging, people show up with torches and pitchforks at your door. But there's a quarterback in the free agency, and this is where I'm going to lose some of you guys. This is where you lose me. This is where I'm going to lose some of you guys. If the 49ers got Kirk Cousins, they'd be number 1 on this list. But Reed, Kirk Cousins isn't that much better than Brock Purdy, but he is better. I want you guys to look at something. Go look at Brock Purdy's stats this year with Brandon Ayuk and Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel in his prime. And, of course, George Kittle. Then go look at Jimmy Garoppolo's stats in 2019 when they went to the Super Bowl. They're pretty close. And Jimmy Garoppolo did it without Brandon Ayuk. He did it with a rookie, Deebo Samuel. Did it without Christian McCaffrey. Pretty close. I think this team has shown now that to win the Super Bowl, you got to have the elite guy. Brock Purdy's good. I don't think that's discounting what Brock Purdy is. He was the last pick in the draft. He's good. He's won a lot of games. Can win you games. But I think if they evolve at quarterback, this team's the best team in the league.
If a wealthy billionaire gave you let's say $1 million, you get $1 million to put on any NFL future right now. You have to bet on a future. It has to be a future. You have to do it right now.
Yeah.
Is there any other option that you would take than 49ers to win the NFC? Is there another
for a future?
Yeah.
I would take the Eagles under and wins.
That's being a savage, but okay. Is there but this just goes to your point.
Yes, they're the Super Bowl favorites. They're the NFC favorites, and I get it. They're in a weaker division. They are stacked across the board. Yeah, but I don't know. I just want to see them evolve at the quarterback position. I think there's better quarterback. Kyler Murray. If Kyler Murray's out on the market, I think he's a better option.
Plays a lot of video games.
Plays a lot of video games. Learn a thing or two from playing Madden. All right, that's my 3. Final 2 teams are coming from the AFC. Casey hated this. Yeah, absolutely hated this.
I agree with him. This is terrible.
Buffalo Bills at number 2.
It's terrible.
I put a premium when I made this list on how you performed in the second half of the year. And I said, Packers looked great. The Rams looked great. There's a reason that the Philadelphia Eagles aren't on this list, guys. No one had a better second half of the year than Buffalo Bills. People said they weren't going to make the postseason, and they won the AFC East. Josh Allen, maybe more than any other quarterback in the league, can single-handedly win you a game. Single-handedly. I think Josh Allen will be a Hall of Fame quarterback, and he will get over that hump. I'm not going to discount him for not being able to beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the postseason. I'm not going to discount that. Buffalo Bills, it feels like for the past few years, they were given the Lombardi Trophy before the season started. Now everyone's like, I'm done with the Bills. I'm over it. I'll stay there. I'll stay in that camp. I'll go against the grain, and I say the Bills are here to stay for at least another year. I have the Bills at 2.
Josh Allen. So I'm going to give you some stats here. Some career postseason touchdowns. Justin Herbert. How many does he have, Reed?
Career postseason touchdowns?
Postseason.
He's got 2.
1.
Yeah, he just played 1 game.
Tua.
He's played 1 game in the postseason. They did not score a touchdown. No, he had 1. He had that 1 miracle.
Tua has 1. Joe Burrow.
He has 7?
10.
10, okay.
Lamar Jackson.
3.
9.
Oh, he got most of them against the Texans.
Josh Allen has 27.
Josh Allen
has 27 postseason touchdowns. And I know everybody's going to sit here and say that he's had a lot of help. But I'd say this. He's been throwing a lot of those to guys that like Dawson Knox, like Shakir, that guy named Shakir, who I don't know who he is, but it seemed like in the postseason, it seemed like in the second half of that year where he became the number one receiver on the team, Stephon Diggs went away. I will say, though, that they are going to lose probably Stephon Diggs. So they're going to need a bona fide number one receiver, I presume. Otherwise, they will have probably one of the worst wide receiving rooms.
Kincaid made a step up.
Wide receiving rooms. I'm talking wide receiving rooms.
Yeah, I know. I'm talking pass catcher.
I agree with you that Josh Allen is the guy. Josh Allen, without a doubt, at least certainly when it matters most, is the guy you'd want on your team. Saying that, the roster itself might need some help next season. Mm-hmm. And that's where I disagree with this ranking.
All right, fair enough. Listen, we'll let the cards lie. I don't know what to tell you. I like Josh Allen. Now they do have a defensive head coach. I think McDermott's fine. I think he's a good coach and everything like that. But man, I would like to see what this team looks like with an offensive head coach. And coming in at number one, yes, it's the Baltimore Ravens. Listen, don't discount what you saw in the regular season, guys. I know that they did nothing in the AFC Championship game against the Kansas City Chiefs. Once again, you can't blame a team for losing to a dynasty. They dominated almost every team they played week in and week out. They did it with Lamar Jackson throwing the ball. They did it with Lamar Jackson running the ball. They had the best running team in the league. They had the best defense in the league. And for one game, they got outplayed. If they would have won the Super Bowl, which they didn't, if they would have won the Super Bowl, the conversation we would have been having on Super Bowl Monday would have been, was this the best team we've ever seen? That's how good they were. A week after the Miami Dolphins, and I know they were fraudy, beat the Dallas Cowboys and wanted everyone to respect the Miami Dolphins, put some respect on our name. They lost by 40 to the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens punished the 49ers in their own home. The team that went to overtime in the Super Bowl, the Ravens absolutely punished them. The Ravens are going to be good next year. Lamar Jackson's going to be fine next year. The Ravens seems the best team in the NFL.
I have no doubts regarding the two-time MVP, Lamar Jackson. Again, despite how bad he played in that Chiefs game, which I'd argue was the offensive coordinator's fault more so, because they completely changed the way they've been doing things all season, only rushing the ball like 4 times in a game. They were still in a position to win that game had Zay Flowers not had the egregious fumble in the end zone. They were still in a position to extend that game and maybe advance to a Super Bowl. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think they'll be a top 3 team next season. And certainly probably have the 1 seed in the AFC.
All right, so I'm finally going through your guys' comments on my list. You guys gave me a lot of love in the first hour.
Yeah.
Reed has some base takes today. Reed's doing great. I want Reed to be the host permanently. So far, I've got this list is ass. This is the beginning of the end for Off the Bench after that list. You know I'm going to tweet all these guys. This is good stuff. Listen, we all have our opinions, and you're seeing my top 10 list. We all have our opinions. This is mine. And objectively, if your opinion's different than mine, you're wrong. That's all I got. Casey, you were held anxiously quiet over there. I saw your legs shaking. I saw you twitching when I brought up the Buffalo Bills at number 2 and the 49ers at 3 and the Rams at 5. Chiefs at 4, all of that. You were just chomping at the bit to tear my head apart.
I think the list is not very good. It's not very good, Reed. I don't see how you could have Baltimore or Buffalo ahead of Kansas. I think Kansas is like, even if they lose anyone, I think we've seen enough to where like you just don't bet against Mahomes.
That's fair.
Until he inevitably loses to someone else. I mean, I don't think that you can't have them number 1. I think the 49ers, that's appropriate. The Bills, I think, are way too high. I think the Rams are way too high. I think the Bengals should be a little higher, and it's not even, for me, it's not even a debate because, I mean, they were the best team in the NFL for 4 weeks until Joe Burrow got hurt. Like, that's what the Bengals team is. That is who they are. And they were taking down the Bills, the 49ers, and they had the Ravens in a really good spot there at the beginning of that game before he went down. So, I don't know. I think that other than that, I like where Houston's at. I like where the Packers are at.
The biggest omissions probably from this list would be the Eagles.
Nah.
Didn't have them in the top 10.
That's fair.
The Browns won 11 games
Nope, that's
with
fair.
no real quarterback. The Dolphins are still a pretty
Nah.
good team.
Nah.
I think you have the right teams in the top 10.
You could make an argument for a Jim Harbaugh Chargers. Put them right at 10.
I think you have the right
Jags,
10 teams.
maybe.
I just think the order's off.
It's fair enough.